Hello and welcome to another episode of Ashes to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, how you doing tonight, brother?
Yo, dude, doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Doing good. We have a little bit of a short episode for you guys today, or tonight, or whenever you're listening to this. But it's pretty interesting. It's a lore episode. Now, we know we're a little bit late to the show because during the charity event, they did have a D&D campaign that they released some new lore, particularly about one of the main characters in the history of Vera. So we're going to talk about King Atrax tonight on the podcast. A lot of cool information and lore surrounding this gentleman. So we're going to dive in there. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming development stream, which happens to be a day after we're recording this podcast. So you guys will have to wait another 2 weeks to hear our take on all the new information. But as we know, we're leading up to Alpha. Alpha dates are coming. December 1st is right around the bend, Bordy. So, we'll be within 3 weeks of the Alpha, the pre-Alpha events. So it's exciting, man. Ashes is coming along, and as we know, as old people, it will be here before we know it.
Yeah, that did sound like an old person saying, man. But I say it too. I mean, as you get older, that's just what happens. Time goes by faster. It is true. It's a true thing that happens.
Time does go by faster. So lots of exciting stuff in the Ashes of Creation world. But first, is a little bit of a housekeeping, guys. Go follow or go subscribe to subscribe to the YouTube channel for studioloot. Now me and Bordy both have done a lot of YouTube in the past, but here recently kind of come together to have one channel posted with tons of Ashes of Creation and New World content for you guys, as well as other MMOs. So go check that out. If you're interested in MMOs at all, go throw that a sub, because we are getting ready to launch a new YouTube exclusive show called MMO to Go, Bordy. So guys, if you're interested in MMOs in general, definitely go sub to that channel because we're going to have tons of interesting content for you guys coming up soon.
Yes, sir. I'm ready to record that one, man. That's going to be fun stuff.
Yeah. We were getting the production side of things together right now, but that will be soon. We'll have more news for you guys, and of course, we'll give you guys updates on the podcast as well. So Bordy, November 30th. Yeah. So we're recording this on the 29th. So as this is in your ears, guys, you will be soon behind a new developer update. So Bordy, we know Alpha is around the corner. So I would assume we're going to go maybe a little bit more details about Alpha and what the testing looks like and everything like that. But Bordy, anything else you're expecting out of this November update as far as from the development team goes?
Man, not real. I don't really know what to expect out of this, because all the big news has been dropped already, which was the alpha dates. So I don't know. I expect they'll probably just show us a little bit more gameplay as usual, and then show us some of the things they're working on, maybe some of the bugs that they're squashing and that type of thing.
Yeah. I definitely think we're going to get another backer package. So they usually, I think, tease those on the developer update as well, which we just put up a video, guys, of our top 3 favorite backer packages on YouTube. Just a little bit of a plug there. So if you're interested in that, we talk about this a ton on the podcast and joke around with each other, but dude, there's truly been some epic backer packages. So I'm excited to see what they have next in store. I would assume it's going to be some, I don't know, they tend to keep these close to the cuff as far as like holiday events or holiday themes go. We just got a big fall or autumn or Thanksgiving type of package. So I wonder if we're going to get some sort of Christmassy type thing, Bordy, some wintry backer package, which
I bet so, dude. I bet you're probably on the right track there, would be my guess. I do know that doing that video the other night, just going through all of the backer packages that they have out there, that was really kind of the first time I'd really sat down and looked at all of them in a close time frame like that, and just kind of compared them. That was a lot of fun, man. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, there are some epic ones, dude. I don't want to spoil the video,
yes.
But dude, there have been some really amazing. The art team is so good for Ashes. Obviously, like having this many like cosmetic items before the game even launches, it can bother some people, I guess. But in general, I think they do an amazing job with these appearance items for sure.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're obviously you're into Ashes of Creation, you're listening to a podcast about Ashes of Creation. So don't forget, November 30th, which will be today, or maybe even in the past, if you listen to this later on in the week, there will be a developer update. So go check that out on their Twitch channel. All right, guys. So this is going to be a fun one today. Maybe a little bit of a short episode, but we definitely wanted to dive into the lore here. And that is of King Atrax. Now, if you're not well versed in the lore of Ashes of Creation, we'll give you a little bit of a bumper, and Bordy, you can help me out as well, just to kind of set the stage for this particular character. And it's important to know two things, I guess. One is that there was life on Vera before the four races, which are the people, which would be, of course, the humans, the elves, the dwarves, and the orcs. And we also know of the Tolnar as well, which is like, I guess, the ninth race, which is a little bit of a mix of all of the creatures on Vera as well. But that's besides the point. So basically, there were the ancients. So the ancients were the first race that was created in the image of in the image of the gods, which initially there was 10. So basically, as you kind of look through the history of Vera, there was an incident where 3 of the 10 gods separated themselves from the others and started to teach the ancients bad things. So basically, maybe not bad things, but just basically, it would be the equivalent of the differences between good and evil, or right or wrong, or anything that's like that, to kind of, give an ultimate knowledge to the ancients. So upon this disagreement, there was a war, of course, and how that ended, to keep things short, is both the 3 gods that taught the ancients the bad things and the ancients all got cast off to a place called the Void. The Void is basically, and I hate to be like on the nose about stuff, but it's hell. It's a bad place. You don't want to go to the Void if you're a soul or a particular person. So that sets the stage, I think, enough. And if we need to cover up anything, in the path of our journey on this lore discussion, then we can definitely do that as we see fit. Or maybe, Bordy, you can give a shout out, like if you think there might be some confusion or whatever.
This. No, you're doing great, man. Keep
because
going.
We are by no means experts on the lore. We've just started educating ourselves in Ashes of Creation lore, because we at first wanted to just get a general idea of the features that were in the game. But I'll tell you, because of the passion of Steven and the development team and how they kind of met each other, which I think was playing board games and D&D and stuff like that, they have fleshed out a very, very interesting lore in Vera and in Ashes of Creation. So we're having a ton of fun looking into this stuff. And if you guys want to hear or see more episodes like this about lore on the podcast, definitely let us know, because this is something that we definitely enjoy looking into as well. So King Atrax, basically, again, this was before the current setting of the game, prior to everyone kind of leaving, or the exodus of people leaving through a portal and then coming back to Vera, which is where Ashes of Creation starts. There was King Atrax. Now, King Atrax was the leader of the Tauren Empire, which is basically an empire that was based around half-elves. Now, there aren't any half-elves in the game. This was a race that was present before, again, the current history or the current present setting of the game. But the Tauren Empire was the first civilization in Vera, and is considered to be the greatest empire, or the greatest age. So King Atrax was the most powerful person in the most powerful empire. Now, we know historically, just from human aspects, people with a lot of power tend to start to veer off on a bad path, just by the sake of, the corruption of power, or whatever you want to call it. So King Atrax became obsessed with finding more knowledge on the essence. Now, essence is basically the souls of people in Vera, how people were created or things were created with. It's the source of life, so to say, in Vera. So as King Atrax kind of became obsessed with this and started to seek into the nature of the essence, he found a way to communicate or therefore venture into the void. Now, we just covered a little bit about the void prior in the episode, so we know that's a bad thing or a bad place. So upon stumbling into the void, King Atrax then was introduced to the Ancients, Bordy. And obviously we covered a little bit about the Ancients here. So now as King Atrax started to learn more and more about the essence, he started becoming more curious about immortality, Bordy. Now, so this is where the story gets pretty interesting. King Atrax, through his communication with the Ancients in the void, became more educated on, again, immortality. But unfortunately, this didn't go well for King Atrax because the Ancients were tricking him into a different form of immortality than they were taught by the others, which were the three gods that got cast into the void with the Ancients after, again, the entire conflict of them being taught the nature of the essence in the first place. So basically, they had tricked King Atrax into not just becoming immortal, but becoming undead or becoming a lich. So that this, Bordy, is the way that the undead and the corruption kind of found its way back into Vera prior to the Exodus. So, Bordy, how are we doing so far? Any questions or anything that you think maybe would be unclear to the listeners about, King Atrax and maybe what his backstory was?
I think so far you're doing a pretty good job explaining it. What I'm getting out of this is King Atrax, man, he got the short end of the stick here, dude.
Sort of.
He was a bad guy, but he got tricked, man.
Yeah. So basically, this is how they through information or through faulty information, the Ancients turned King Atrax into a lich or an undead lord, and basically instituted the undead inside of Vera. So what had happened? So now at this point, they trick him into becoming a lich and he basically gained mortality, but through basically the cost of his soul, damning him through an eternity of undeath. So this led King Atrax into ushering the undead into Vera and is linked to the Harbingers bringing the Ancients' influences. So basically, this poor gentleman got not only tricked out of immortality or out of the true sense of immortality, basically he will be eternally dead. But not only that, but now they use King Atrax. The Ancients have used him in their, basically their first attempt to come back into Vera and to corrupt life as we know it, or all of the beings inside of Vera, which would be, of course, the now races that inhabit it, which would be the elves, the orcs, the humans, and the dwarves. So
yeah, so this may be a silly question. I don't know, but I didn't hear this yet. So maybe So since King Atrax was he was hiding his artifacts in Fallow's Hold, right? In one of the dungeons, is that right?
Yeah. So
as he was gaining a greater understanding of the essence and the source of life, he was gathering up all these artifacts and hiding them in Fallow's Hold, right?
Yeah. So Fallow's Hold is one of the dungeons that we'll be able to experience in game, and this is an important thing, Bordy. So I'm glad you brought this up, mainly because this will be one of the places in Vera that we'll actually be able to go and spend time in. And so Fallow's Hold is basically one of King Atrax's vaults that he had made by the dwarves to hold all these artifacts that he was acquiring during his search of the knowledge of the essence. So yeah, it'll be cool, kind of, because and I don't want to go too much into this, but he acquired 4 main artifacts that should play a part in the dungeon, I would think. As we kind of get to go through that and play through that experience, but it'll be interesting to see what we unlock or what we have to encounter inside of this vault, knowing that some of the artifacts in here did play a part of him, finding access to the void, Bordy. And they haven't mentioned anything about the void being a playable zone or anything like that in the game yet, I don't think.
Expansion.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe in the future we might see some ventures into the void, or maybe even inside of the dungeon, we might get an opportunity to step into the void and kind of or fight some ancients at that point. So it'll be cool, dude, to see where they take that. But overall, it's cool to see them not only introduce new characters through like D&D experiences, because I think that was pretty epic for them to, a way for them to kind of leak some lore, or to show some lore to the community. But also, dude, this whole world that they're building, even from the jump, we haven't even had an alpha client up yet, is pretty intriguing, man. No gameplay at all, and I'm pretty, at this point, interested in what they have to tell story-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned 4 main artifacts, right? So if there's 4 main artifacts, do you think we'll have one dungeon for each artifact? Could that potentially be 4 separate dungeons that we're going into? Now, again, these may be silly questions. I'm no lore expert, right? Like as Red said in the beginning, we just started diving into this stuff. So I'm asking these, and I'm sure there's listeners out there that are going to know the answer to these questions. So and they may have already said it, or maybe not. Maybe it is purely speculation. But does that mean 4 artifacts, 4 dungeons, and then at some point we're going to fight King Atrax in one of these dungeons or raid?
I mean, that would be pretty cool. It's interesting because technically this guy has also gained some form of immortality. Now we know that basically, we left, or that all of our races left Vera because of, of the apocalypse. But it doesn't say that King Atrax particularly left or doesn't exist anymore. So you're right. When we could eventually encounter King Atrax, and maybe he is, I guess, could be the boss of this Fallows Hold dungeon as well. So that would be cool to see that and see how that works out, man. And again, I think adding stories like this to boss fights and dungeons, it only increases the player experience, because then you have a reason why you're fighting this guy, and why you want to beat this guy is because, he's partly responsible for the ancients' influence inside of Vera.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So you also mentioned it during this whole scenario, something about the corruption. So does that mean, is this the same? So corruption, is that the same as like PvP corruption? Are we talking about the same thing there?
So I think the idea behind corruption in the PvP setting is partly because now as you become, you're committing evil acts by killing players that are, unflagged, or like you're killing them in unfair situations. And through those evil acts, you're starting to become, I guess, an influence for the ancients, and an opportunity for them to travel into Vera, or to gain their influence or increase their influence inside of Vera. So it'll be interesting, Bordy, too, to see how do they institute corruption from that standpoint. One of the things I thought about, Bordy, that I thought would be really cool is, what if as people become more corrupted within the corruption system, they become like more... like their appearance starts to change, and they start to look more like an ancient, and they maybe start to get a little bit more power and ability to kill other people. And then it takes like a group of player characters to kill that one person, maybe like a PvP raid boss, so to say, as they get more, they start to do more and more PKing. What if they become more and more distorted, and they, then becomes like this threat on the map that everybody can kind of see and knows that it's time to go and take care of? That'd be super cool, man.
That'd be pretty fun, I think. That'd be pretty dope. But what about also, like, we all know that Ashes of Creation is an incredibly dynamic MMO. So what if they had some dynamic event if so many people were corrupted? If this ties into the lore, well, you just said it did. So if there's so many people that are corrupted on one server, that it triggers an event where the ancients should kind of start creeping out and start sick, corrupting the world, or corrupting a specific node or something like that. If too many people in Vera on that one server were corrupted enough, that'd be kind of crazy.
That would be super sick. Anything that, again, me and you are PvP guys, so we're not used to getting the red carpet rolled out for us in MMOs. You know what I mean? Having unique experiences like this that in PvP that could cause like world events, or like cause problems on the map that need to be dealt with, I think would be super dope. I mean, they have mentioned, obviously, through the caravan system and everything like that, PvP is going to be a big part of the game, and the control of nodes, and node war and having like, you know, a certain number of metropolises on the map at a time, that causing conflict. You would think that, you know, they just will continue to work ways for PvP to be interesting or more viable in the game. And this could be one of them, dude. The corruption system and what we know about the ancients so far, and how they bring in Harbingers to try to bring them, you know, bring themselves back into Vera to kind of take over or at least cause discourse or chaos. It could be really cool to see, you know, that played out in a player influence way.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome, man. I'm a big fan of the corruption system in this game in general, but I've never really tied it into the lore or knew like the lore behind it. So it's kind of interesting to know that it does kind of tie into lore somehow. And if it could trigger some sort of world event, dude, I'd be in. I'd be all in, man.
Yeah,
that'd be so freaking cool.
Extremely cool. And yeah, like we said, guys, we are not lore experts, but we like covering this stuff. So if you guys like it too, definitely let us know in the comments on the YouTube channel, or you can come into the Discord, the studioloot Discord, and let us know. And we don't have to do it on the podcast. We can do it. We've been talking about lore videos for our YouTube channel for quite some time, so we might even do some lore dedicated videos over there as well. We're definitely invested in Ashes of Creation as a game. So if you guys want to see more stuff like this, let us know, and we'll do our best to educate ourselves and to continue to let you guys, you know, tell us what you want to hear about.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So before we move on, let me just try to recap this thing very quickly and kind of a few sentence recap for the King Atrax overall lore, right? Let me see if I get this right, Red. So King Atrax, he was the last ruler of the Tauran Empire, right? And he was obsessed with finding immortality. So he went out and tried to find immortality by gaining an understanding of the essence, right? Am I on there right so far?
Yeah.
So once he started gaining an understanding of the essence, he started gathering a whole lot of artifacts to reach that goal and gaining this understanding of the essence to find immortality. Well, along with doing all of that, he met some of the ancients, which were trying to teach him how to gain immortality. And instead of teaching him how to gain immortality, they turned him into a lich.
So basically, I think his initial journey set out to be just more knowledgeable on the essence and why life was there. And as he started to manipulate that knowledge, he found a way into the void. So yes, basically that what you're saying is correct. But I don't think to my understanding, his initial journey was not immortality from the jump, but it soon became immortality as he learned more and more about the essence and that it was possible to gain that.
Oh, so King Atrax was probably some good guy, and then he started learning about this stuff, and it just twisted it up. He just got caught up in it.
Yes,
man.
yes.
He just got caught up in it, dude. He got caught up in the power struggle, dude. He wanted to be immortal, man.
Exactly.
Yo, dude. Twisted his mind up, man.
Because it does mention he was it did mention he was a powerful advanced wizard. So, you know, obviously, being the most powerful man and also a very powerful like wizard, you know, we know the history of the world and how corruption kind of finds its way into the hearts of powerful people. So yeah, it just seems like that classic story of a guy who kept seeking power. Nothing was enough for him, and that's what ended up being his demise. Because guess what? He got what he asked for, but not in the form in which he asked it. Because you know, the dude is undead now. So
yeah, I hope we do somehow see him in Vera, right?
Oh, we're definitely gonna see him,
so
dude. I don't think there's a doubt in it in my mind right now. He's got to be the boss or one of the bosses within the. You know, he could be a side boss, dude, and then at the end of the boss, or at the end of the dungeon, dude, follows hold. We could see like an ancient man or some sort of, or maybe, dude, even one of the others.
Or one of the 10. Yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool? I think that with them releasing lore like this in that charity event, I mean, they're still giving us little tidbits of lore here and there. How deep do you think this lore is going to continue to go, man? Do you think there's just a vast array of lore that's just sitting out there for them waiting to drop on us?
Yes. Here's why I think that. I think the story is going to be one of the selling points of Ashes of Creation, because I think the origins of the idea of the game came from Steven and again, a lot of these developers, a lot of the main developers were in a group playing board games together, you know, and that's why they thought or conceived the idea of Ashes of Creation. I guess, it originated from Steven. Steven has all these ideas in his mind. So I could see him definitely having more lore that no one knows about thus far. And I'm sure they want to keep a lot of this stuff secret until the actual game comes out. So, but yeah, I do think, and I'm not usually like, lore is not the main reason I play a game. It's always like, I enjoy a game, so then I become interested in the lore. But lore can be a very powerful, impactful thing for players, man. A lot of people are very invested in a game story and why they're doing what they're doing, and why am I killing this person, or why am I, going into this dungeon. I think that really does help keep your player base invested in your game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure it does. I think that's been proven time and time again. And I think that it can't do anything but enhance the experience of an MMO. Even those that aren't interested in the lore and they just want to play the game for the game, they can do that. But then those that really want a story, like it's a win-win. There is no negative. There's no downside of having a good story in an MMO.
That's exactly right. And I do believe, again, that I think Steven's heavily invested in the story of Ashes of Creation. I think a lot of the developers are too. So I do think, or I do anticipate the lore of the backstory of this game being one of the big selling points of Ashes of Creation for players. So, all right, dude. Well, that about does it for our discussion. Again, guys, let us know if you enjoyed it, if we suck, if we don't know enough about the lore and you hate us now. Just comment. Let us know, boys. And we're very open to covering more of this stuff on the YouTube channel as well. So if you want to see videos about the lore of Ashes of Creation, let us know. Bordy, why don't we got the guild of the week. And again, guys, go if you're interested in promoting your guild on the podcast or having your guild promoted on the podcast, go to ashesfans.com, sign up for an account and post your guild information there, and we will help promote and get more members into your Discord and into your guild by featuring them on the podcast. So, Bordy, why don't you go and tell us who the guild of the week is this week?
Absolutely, man. So I'm going to take a stab at this. These people might get mad at me for pronouncing this wrong, but I'm going to go for it, man. The Carcharodons, I think, is the way you pronounce this guild name. So they're an NA guild. They're focused on PvX, size 26 to 50. They are currently recruiting. They're a guild that strives for sea dominance. We have another seafaring guild here. I think we did one of these kind of earlier, a few weeks back. But these are always interesting, man. The thought of being a pirate in Ashes of Creation always intrigues me. So they are a seafaring guild. It says the main focus of the guild will be offering protection to caravans and raiding them, preferably at sea. Ooh, yeah, pirates, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, dude.
We're going to have heavy shark imagery as per the name. So apparently the name is something like an actual shark type of name, and I guess I'm dumb and I've never seen that before. I don't know.
Probably.
I mean, I've seen Megalodon. I don't know what this one is.
Is that movie with what's his name?
Yeah, it's a movie. I mean, I don't know who's in it, but it's a movie. But yeah. Statham.
So it's dude, dude, it sounds like so the guild that we mentioned earlier, and this is an EU guild, is the Seafarers of Era. They were featured on a later episode. Yep, so it'll be interesting because these are two pirate guilds, dude. It'll be cool to see these pirate guilds kind of go at it on the open seas. It seems like a lot of people are interested in the naval combat of this game. So it'll be cool to see what kind of turns out of that.
Yes, I can't wait for that side of the game either. That's going to open it up a lot. I'm really excited about that. But it also says the guild will be a PvX guild, as the game is designed around both PvP and PvE, so they're going to participate in both. And they say RP will be more than welcome, but it is not mandatory. So if you're looking for an RP guild too, sounds like kind of a chill RP guild that you could be a part of. There you go, man. The Carcharodons. And I will obviously link all of that information down below. They have a Discord in there, and they have a Discord name that you can message, and I'll make sure I'll link that everywhere that this podcast can be listened to or watched.
All right. Well, again, thank you to the Carcharodon, whatever the. I'm not even gonna try, but we appreciate you guys creating your account on Ashes fans, and again over at Ashes to Go podcast. If you guys want your guild to be on the podcast, go over there and create an account, because we'd love to again help you guys out as part of the community. So Thank you for that. All right, guys. Well, that about does it for another episode of Ashes to Go. Bordy, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, man, you can find me on Twitter. It is at thebdlg. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/bdlg. And then now the YouTube is now combined under the Studio Loot YouTube channel. I'm sure we've mentioned a whole lot of times. So there's no content going up on my personal YouTube channel for now. Probably will be that way for a long time while we focus on the Studio Loot YouTube channel. So go throw that a sub. And then, of course, we'll be creating content on ashesfans.com.
All right, and I am Redbird with a Y. You can find me over at Twitch under that name. Guys, don't forget to follow the Twitter account of Studio Loot. It basically is where we put out all of our information if new content is live over there. So go check that out. Follow, please. And then also go sub to our YouTube channel. We're going to be having more Ashes of Creation content over there as well. So if you're interested in that, go check that out too. All right, guys. Well, that about does it. Again, we're grateful to have you guys as an audience. Thank you guys for continuing to listen to us as we talk about Ashes of Creation. And we lead up to the Alpha, where we're going to have concrete coverage of all that gameplay and all the new release information over there. So stick tight. What am I saying? Just keep listening, please.
Hang tight. Stay tuned.
Yeah. There we go. All right, guys. Yeah, we're very grateful to have you guys as an audience. So thank you. And yeah, that about does it. We will see you on another episode of Ashes to Go.